Sup, fucker? Greetings, and how the hell are you?
I'm good, especially now that you got me a glass of whiskey, dude.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's have a conversation.
Yeah. Let's talk about some stuff. Let's talk about the mill.
The mill. So yeah, we went back to the alleged haunted mill, the Devil's Mill.
The Devil's Mill. I always like that one.
Will, yeah. Makes it sound so ominous for a relatively quaint place.
Yeah. I don't know how to eloquently put it, but I'll just say it bluntly. All the other ghost videos that you see take place there are fucking horseshit.
Yeah. 100% agree. I mean, I don't know. I know that, like, yeah, sometimes you're gonna have activity in haunted places and sometimes there won't be any kind of activity, but like, we've been there twice. We've spent 12 hours there?
Yeah, total.
Pretty much in the dark, all over the place, kind of looking for anything. Found a few small things, but those small things could just be written off as like electronic glitches or like radio frequency glitches.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to believe a lot of it is just anomalies.
Yeah.
Some of it, I'll say, felt very real. Like, oh, I think we got something here. But there's no way to prove anything. I mean, all of paranormal investigation is kind of pseudoscience anyway.
Yeah. But
still, there were some events where you're just like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there was a few things that in the moment feel like it's like direct communication, like,
yeah,
especially when we were doing like the spirit box stuff. There was a few things that were like, I don't know, felt like they were a little bit more than just anomalies. So even
sure.
like right when I said anomalies, the lights dimmed.
That's my fucking hitchhiker.
Yeah, dude. Maybe it's been you the whole time.
Maybe it was me the whole time.
So, like, when we were doing the spirit box... Actually, I think it was when you were doing the spirit box on the bridge, doing the Estes method.
Yeah.
And then we were asking questions, and Scott was busy texting at the time, so he was kind of just, like, not even really paying attention to what was going on. And then you had said Maddie and Indy.
Yeah.
Which didn't, like, correlate with me in any way. I thought it was just jumble noise. Then after, I don't know if it was on video, Scott saying that while you were saying that, he was texting Maddie.
Yeah, I don't know
wife
if he said it, but it's in the video. You can see it.
Yeah.
You can see him, like, he's texting and then he stands up.
Yeah.
And like you had to point it out to him what was just said.
Right.
And then later on he was like super creeped out about it.
Yeah, he was like, that's weird because I was texting Maddie at the same time. And then he was like, did you say Indy? He's like, yeah, that's my dog's name. So I thought that was weird, you know.
Definitely creepy. And what I find even more creepy on top of that was when we were in the mill and we're all sitting on the long bench and it said my name clear as day.
Right.
But then later on, and it's not in the video because the memory card ran out, was when we were doing the 5 minutes each in the bar, or in the mill. And Scott goes to go in and the box says company, Scott. Which those feel incredibly directed. I mean, they're fairly common names, David and Scott. So it's like, you could hear that on the radio probably fairly commonly, but the fact that it was just so clear when it was said. And in the video, it's hard to tell because the sound was... I turned up the sound so you could hear the spirit box, but it's like you have to turn the sound down on whatever device you're watching it on because it's just... If not, it's...
overbearing. Yeah.
Super fucking loud. I still got to figure out how to make the spirit box record what's going on. Yeah, I got to find the manual and figure out how to do that, because it only didn't really record anything. There's one anomaly though that only I was privy to when I, pulled all the footage and the audio and everything, and I forgot my hard drive, so I can't show it to you right now. But so the audio recorder that we just left in the mill the whole time basically picked up nothing. So I opened it in Audacity, the same software I used to record, because I was like, I'm not going to listen to this for fucking 5 hours.
Right.
Instead, I'm going to open it in Audacity, and I'm just going to look at the sound wave.
Right.
Because if it's flat from the time we leave to the time we come back,
spikes.
There's nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so there was one tiny little spike right in the middle. And you can hear in the audio there's cars passing by, and there's trucks revving up and dirt bikes and shit around. But then there's one little moment right in the middle where you hear this. And what's funny is when we were doing the like 5 minutes total dark, total silence thing, it's the exact same sound I heard upstairs.
Oh, we did hear. Actually, you know what? That's weird. Because I heard that upstairs also.
Just a sharp click, just like a.
So, I went upstairs at one point. I think it was the first time we went into the mill house, and we were there for like maybe an hour, kind of doing stuff. I went upstairs with just the night vision camera, and I was just walking around the third floor, I guess it is, and just by myself with no lights, just the camera, just to try to get like any kind of spooky feeling or spooky vibe up there, which I didn't really feel, but I did hear tapping. It was like a few clicks, but I heard it like on the floor, and so there was like a bunch of stuff piled up on the floor, and I panned over there, and then I said that I'd heard something, but then came back downstairs. But then when we were sitting there before we left, we heard it again, and I was like, oh, that sounded like it was right upstairs. Yeah. Interesting.
I wonder if it could have just been one of the owls.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's an anomaly. I'll leave it there, because it could be anything. It is a creaky old mill.
It's a creaky old mill next to it's just wide open, it's kind of a big property, and there's some water there, and there's like oftentimes, like last time we were there was a raccoon or something down in the bushes. We couldn't see it, but we could hear it like making noise and scurrying around, and then making that classic raccoon noise. Yeah. Kind of sounds like Stitch's laugh. But so you can't really say it's a ghost when it's an old building and there's plenty of holes in the walls, and
and it just, because it is an old creaky building, and there is animals nesting in the roof and shit, where it's like that could have been anything, but it did feel kind of odd. Like it wasn't like you hear the building kind of groan in the wind or whatever. It was kind of like, what the fuck was that? Right. But I remember after we were doing that, moment of silence thing, and I heard that click, I had went upstairs to kind of look around, and that was like the only time it felt like fearful or ominous, where I'm up there going, oh my God, what if I do see something? That was like the only time the whole time we were there that I was like kind of a little scared. Yeah. It was interesting.
Yeah, I think that maybe on our next investigation, we should take turns doing that, kind of walking the location one by one, with just a camera. Yeah. Night vision. Because you do get that extra sense of, like, the creep factor.
For sure.
When we go in all together, it's kind of fun and joking, and you have a lot of energy with you, and so you're kind of I almost feel like it might be overbearing to try to sense something other than the energy of the people that you're with.
For sure.
Which really, like, you know, we've only done this twice, but it seems like a lot of it has to do with your own energy and your own perception of, like, your surroundings.
I agree. And like you were saying, you know, when we're all together, it's laughing and joking and things like that. But I like the idea of doing it, you know, taking solo adventures with it, because even in the end where we were all kind of doing your 5 minutes there and Scott only lasted like 3.
Yeah.
But those 5 minutes, you sit there and you kind of just look around and you're like, well, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a weird old building sitting there in the dark and the spirit box is just, and it feels kind of ominous, but it's because you're just sitting there in the dark by yourself.
Right. Kind of the realization that you're trying to contact energy force that is not known to you, or like you don't even know if it's real or not.
Yeah.
And so, like, I don't know. Maybe if we open with something like that, kind of like each investigation, okay, before we go in and do anything else, let's do our solo things. Mm-hmm. So that we can go in there and create that ominous feeling from the start.
Yeah.
I think that'd be an interesting way to approach it.
I think so too. I think what's actually best about that is it's not a quantifiable piece of data.
Right.
It's just your own feeling, your own sensibilities that you experience in that event by yourself. Mm-hmm. It's not like, oh, I hold up this meter and read the number on there and it's, okay, that's weird. It's just how you perceive it and how you react to it.
Yeah.
And I think if there is some kind of spiritual energy that feeds off the energy that you put out, I would think that it's like fear is a very potent source, you know?
Yeah. That's what Monsters Inc. used. Well, I guess it was Scream, wasn't it? But
yeah, it was the same thing. Fear. Yeah. Mike Wazowski?
Yeah. I mean, I guess we were feeding them with laughter after a while. Well, maybe they didn't find our jokes funny.
Some of them were.
The jokes on Scott were pretty funny. Fucking the ghost calling Scott a punta was pretty tight.
If that was a ghost communicating, that ghost was fucking relentless.
Yeah.
I can't remember everything it said because I got so stuck on calling it a punta.
Didn't it tell him to shut the fuck up or something?
Or, yeah, it sounded just like it said shut the fuck up. Even though that's not going to come across the radio, but it sounded just like that.
Shut the fuck up.
It probably heard his laughter and was like, oh my god. Yeah, some of the Scott bits in that video were just like great. Because one thing I really enjoyed about that video was kind of going back and forth between these kind of creepy moments and moments of levity.
Yeah.
Which, even for me, having been there and having made the video, I'm like, this is a really watchable video.
Yeah.
Versus these guys who just blow everything out of proportion and it's like, oh my god, I'm possessed.
Yeah. Try to create energy into a video by overacting or overreacting to anything. You don't have to do that, and it gets super old really quick.
It does, and especially when they're not a good actor at it.
Yeah.
When it's like you don't even like that person to begin with. What's that one? The dude with the long blonde hair.
I think it's called The Paranormal Files.
Yeah, that one. Actually, I'm gonna point this one at Twin Paranormal because those guys are fucking idiots.
Yeah.
Their jokes aren't funny. They're not funny. They're just annoying as balls. And then they come out and do all this heinous acting of like, dude, something touch me and shit like that. And you're going, oh my god, shut the fuck up.
Have you never been touched before? Yeah, so one thing that I thought was super interesting, and we kind of talked about it right in the opening of this video, is a possibility of a hitchhiker with you.
Yes.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. So, since we did that, investigation at the mill, a lot of weird shit's been happening around me. And I'm going to say just around me. Like, not just something in my house or bothering anybody else. Actually, that reminds me, there was another thing I didn't tell you about that happened last night, but it didn't happen to me. So, for starters, I think it was a day after the mill, so I was kind of, or no, sorry, it was last Friday. So less than a week later. In my closet, I have this big box that has a bunch of the excess kit stuff, and then some of my other things that I use. But I had the black and red box that has all like the ghost hunting tools, EMF detector, dowsing rods, batteries, lights, blah blah blah. And it's sitting in the closet on top of this big box, and it's open like that much, so 9 inches, right?
Yeah.
And so it's just sitting there, kind of cracked open, and laying in bed, and I happen to see out of the corner of my eye these lights going off. So the little motion activated cat balls just started going off randomly, and I thought, that's cool. I'm literally the only person on this floor of the house. Everybody else is downstairs. There's no movement. Sometimes the wind makes the house feel like it's shaking. That wasn't happening. There was like no real excuse for it, especially because that box had been sitting there for almost a week just in that same state.
Yeah.
And then about 15 or so minutes later, one of the motion activated lights goes off, the little round pucks with the white light. One of those just turns on. And I'm like, all right, cool. A couple hours pass, and I'm laying on my side to where I'm facing the closet, but I'm kind of watching TV, dozing off, and I'm just about to doze off, and the cat balls go off again. And at this moment, I'm not having it because I was just dozing off, and I just said, stop, and the cat balls just shut off instantly.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so the next day, I had repackaged all that equipment to make it like neat and organized, and I took some things out, blah blah blah, restacked it in the closet to where it's all nice and neat, and I packaged these backpacks with just the camera equipment, and they're pretty kind of heavy, 10-12 pounds when they're loaded, and they're bottom heavy because everything's at the bottom. And so I stacked these 2 backpacks up on top of this box, and I went to work. I always shut my door when I leave, so the dogs aren't going in there. The only people home were my parents. They're not going to go in there. So I come home the next morning, so Sunday morning, and I go to turn on my lamp on my nightstand, and I step on something, and I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I get the light on, and there's the backpack sitting right in front of my nightstand instead of on the box where I left it, 3 or 4 feet away.
Yeah.
And so last night, basically the same thing happened, where I'm laying in bed and I'm facing away from the closet, and I hear this like clunk, and I turn around and one of those backpacks is on the floor again. This time it's fully loaded again, so it's got all the camera equipment in it and all that, so it's like that wouldn't have just fallen off.
Yeah.
And let's see, what was it? Oh, and then right after that, like, I took notice of the backpack, and then the bathroom light turned on in the hallway. There's nobody in there. I could see my daughter's in her room right across the hall, because I like sat up and peeked in there. She's just hanging out on her bed. Everybody else is downstairs. But this other weird thing happened last night where my dad had passed my daughter's room, and he looked in there, and then he came back out, and he's like, I swear I just saw a white cat in Elsie's room. And I was like, that was probably Stuffy. He goes, no, I saw a white cat because I walked past it, like double take, looked back in there, and I saw it again. And then I looked away and it was gone. 'Cause I thought he was joshing me, like.
That's interesting. So you used to have a cat, right?
Yeah, I had 2 cats.
Was one of them white?
No.
Oh.
One of them was a calico, and the other one was like white and gray. But he had mostly white fur.
That's pretty weird.
It's all weird, and I know pretty much anybody listening is going to go, it's a bunch of horse shit. You know, you're seeing things or whatever. Like, no, I know what I saw. I know what I experienced.
Yeah.
I know it sounds totally far-fetched, but happened.
Yeah, I don't discount the fact that you're experiencing these things. And kind of like to go back and explain what we're talking about in Hitchhikers, if you don't understand that, is like in a lot of paranormal research groups, people talk about hitchhikers as like a spiritual energy when you go to a haunted location that attaches itself to a certain person or is attracted to their energy that they're putting off and kind of attaches their energy to that person, and they kind of take that energy home with them. There's lots of different videos on YouTube and on the internet where people are claiming, you know, that they have these hitchhikers that they've picked up from different paranormal places that they've investigated or like been to, and even people that go to like they'll just go to like a haunted old mansion just to go, like, not to do an investigation but just to see the mansion, the alleged haunted mansion, will still, you know, claim that they go home and then stuff starts happening around their houses and stuff like that. So very interesting, especially like happening to you, whereas like, correct me if I'm wrong, like before we started doing any of this stuff, you kind of were kind of leery about all this stuff.
Not necessarily. So just for point of reference, there's been some weird kind of anomalies in that house before, you know, and my parents have witnessed some of it or experienced some of it, and it kind of died down for a long time where there was like nothing happening, and then it was just after that mill experience, and that's only what, a week ago?
Yeah.
A week plus 2 days, and it's just like almost every day something's going on. And I was actually talking to Scott about it, and he's like, well, you know, what about doing like a sage thing or just telling it to get out or whatever? And I was like, honestly, it's not bothering me.
Yeah.
It's not causing me any kind of issues. That it doesn't feel malicious or anything. I'm just like, oh, that's cool. And I mean, until like my bed starts levitating or something, I'm okay with it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you had texted me and said that you were starting to like notice some things that were happening, and I was like, yeah, just don't try to contact it in your house, just because it's like, so I grew up really religious, and like we would always have stuff happen in my mom's house, and we'd had the house blessed a few times from like the bishops and stuff like that. And so my mom would always say, yeah, if you see something or something, don't acknowledge it, because you're feeding that energy like to this thing, and the more energy you put into it, the stronger it gets. So like trying to contact it in your own house, to me, seems like asking for something more to happen.
Yeah.
And which, you know, especially with little kids in the house, you just, I don't know, I wouldn't want that energy.
Did I ever tell you about the experience Elsie had?
Mm-mm.
So it was one of those days where like I had experienced something in the morning, and then the whole day was just normal, and I'm laying in bed and her door's open, my door's open. I usually kind of keep them both open. And then she like jumps off her bed, and she has one of those elevated beds. Well, she did at the time. But she just jumps right off, doesn't take the ladder, just bail. And I can hear both of her feet just
Thump.
And then she runs into my room, and I'm like dozing off, and she's like, Dad, something hairy touched my arm. Can I sleep in your bed? And I was like, yep. And what's funny about that was there was a mirror on her wall, and so I had told my mom about it, and she's like, get rid of that fucking mirror. So I got rid of it, and nothing's happened to her since.
Was it an old mirror?
No, it's just like a... I don't know how to describe it.
Like a body length mirror?
No, it was only about this big, and it had like a wireframe deal around it. Nothing special.
I know that there's a lot of speculation about mirrors being kind of portals, and I know that they use some paranormal investigators use mirrors in trying to contact spirits. There's different methods to trying to contact, whether it's like some people will turn off all the lights and stare into the mirror in the dark, and then like after you stare into it for a while, just in quiet, just staring at the mirror, you'll start to see stuff moving behind you in the mirror, start to see spirits. Also, there's a method called scrying, I think it's called mirror scrying, and it's you have the mirror on the wall, but you hang it at a 45-degree angle towards you off of the wall, and then supposedly you'll start to see same thing. You kind of like sit there and stare into the mirror with maybe just a candle going, and then
how fucking creepy would that be? You're just sitting there staring at a mirror in the dark with nothing but one candle, and then you see something pop up behind you.
Coming up behind you. Yeah. Hey, yeah, fuck that, dude. I'm not doing that shit. Especially like if you see it in the mirror and you turn around and it's not there, and you turn around and you look in the mirror and it's closer.
Yeah. That would be terrifying.
Yeah. I'd probably just shoot myself right then. Like, well, it's over.
Well, when you're done super daddying yourself, I may or may not have shit my pants.
Yeah. Maybe if you're going to do scrying, just do it on the toilet. So when you do see something, you can just like unload.
Or wearing a diaper.
Yeah. But yeah, I've seen a few. There's one show on, I think it was on the Roku channel. They have a lot of paranormal investigation shows that are just kind of obscure, or just maybe like less well known or less well watched. That seem to be a lot more real,
yeah,
than a lot of the ones that get millions of views and stuff like that. But there's one that they use all these different methods, and that's the only reason why I know about them. I've never tried them.
So one thing we did do was you had brought up that you wanted to try it was the Estes method, and this sounds so ridiculous, but up until the moment you brought it up, I was like, it's such horseshit. Yeah. It's so dumb. And then you want to try it, and I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
That is so stupid. You want to try it? Sure.
I don't know what just like flipped the switch in my head to be like, okay. But up until that point, I was like, that's the dumbest fucking shit I've ever seen.
Yeah. Well, even like the spirit box, Karen and I were talking about it last night, actually. The spirit box, and she's like, yeah, I don't really think that that's a thing. Like, and I was like, well, really, like the biggest tool you should have to me, it feels like the biggest tool that you should have in doing a paranormal investigation is your brain. Like, you should use your brain, use your senses. Your whole body is a biometric sensor for energies and, light and sound and vibrations of like both light, sound, and just like if I stomp on the floor, you're gonna feel it. Like, so using your body as a biometric sensor, but also using tools like EMF detectors and digital recorders, cameras, to validate the feelings that you're feeling.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't rely on the tool to show you what the spirit is. You should rely on your senses and use the tools to try to validate what you're feeling.
Oh, I agree. And I'll add to that deductive reasoning.
Yeah.
To go, oh, I heard this sound, and you investigate and you figure it out. Like the one
it's
time,
a fucking owl up there.
Yeah, or like that one time we were in that little Morse code communication room at the mill.
Right.
And we heard that sound, and it happened to be a little wood flange that you rubbed up against. And it made like a rattlesnake sound. Mm-hmm. And we figured it out. And it's not just going, bro, what was that?
It's a ghost of a rattlesnake.
No, it's that piece of wood that's just sticking out.
Yeah. Little tiny sliver of wood that just scraped across my ass as I spun around.
Yeah, I like the idea of people using deductive reasoning instead of just jumping to a conclusion. Whereas, like, if you heard a groan or something and you go, oh my god, it's a fucking ghost, it's in the room with us. But it's just Scott's vegan ass is fucking hungry because he hasn't eaten in 4 days.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just...
the spirits of good.
It's the spirits of broccoli past.
The spirits of the cabbage I had for breakfast.
Yeah.
I'm going to haunt the fuck out of that toilet right now, dude. Speaking of toilets being haunted, that was pretty fucking hilarious. Him opening that door.
God,
that house door, freaking out. That was pretty funny.
When I was editing the video, I had totally forgotten about that moment. And so I watched the clip and I just start fucking crying laughing. So I was like, this has to go in.
Yeah.
And that ended up being like one of my favorite clips.
Yeah.
His reaction. He like opens the door. He's like, oh shit. That scared the fuck out of me. He wasn't like, oh! He was just like, oh. It sounded like Stitch.
Yeah. That was good.
And him falling down.
Yeah, tripping over those logs or whatever they were. Barrier.
I had come onto that clip by accident. I was kind of skipping around. Because sometimes when you're editing a video and you have like one camera that's stationary that's catching everything, you'll try to find like the beginning and end point and just put that one long clip in there. And I was like scrolling to try to find the beginning of the whole Estes session and everything. And then I caught that clip. Just so you know, Dave. And I was like, oh my God. Rewind. And when you see him fall, it's hilarious. Because he falls over and it's like a momentary pause and he's like...
That's probably one of those things where like, oh shit, I'm glad nobody was here to see that. And then you realize I'm carrying a camera that's recording right now.
Well, you might as well...
Everybody's going to see.
You might as well fess up to it because I was going to find it one way or the other.
Yeah. But yeah, so we were talking about the Estes method, and to me it was like, I wanted to try it just because it seems like if there was going to be communication through the spirit box, I think that like the only way that you can really say that it's something that other than just like hearing what you are expecting to hear is by not knowing what the questions are being asked. Mm-hmm. So that's, you know, if you don't know what the Estes method is, it's you're listening to the spirit box that's sweeping through the channels, and so it's like 1 second on each channel just sweeping. You're listening to that in headphones, and then we had like gun range earmuffs over the top, so you couldn't hear. Like if you're listening to the box, you can't hear what everybody else is saying around you.
No, you can kind of feel the vibration of other people's voices, but you can't hear what they're saying.
Right. And so the other people are asking the questions, and then you're just repeating the words or the phrases that you're hearing coming through the box. And so in my mind, I'm not like somebody asks a question, what's your name? I'm not listening for a name. I'm just listening to the box, and then if a name comes through, it's just like you repeat the name.
Yeah.
So I don't know. To me, it seemed more of a valid way to do that investigation type.
You're not looking for a confirmation bias,
right?
And I think that actually proved more fruitful than just sitting there asking the box questions or asking whatever questions and have it answer through the box. Mm-hmm. I think really the biggest problem I had with it before we tried it was every time you see one of those shows where somebody does it, they're just like, Murder, death, kill, demon, Satan.
Yeah.
You're like, get the fuck out of here.
You're listening to Demon Radio on AM 666.
We just need to start like a radio station that just is just like designed to put out ominous words for people who are doing ghost hunts.
Yeah.
It's just a repeating murder, death,
kill, ghost, I'm here.
Random names.
Get out. Steve, Jesse,
Die, Scott.
Punto.
Company, I am here. I'm still alive.
Watch out. So yeah. The only thing that when I was doing my solo thing at the end, I was listening to it, couldn't, asking questions, trying to get anything, and then towards the end, right before you guys came in, it was like talking to me. Well, it was saying things, started getting like actual, it felt like it was more progressively kind of telling me things.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like I was asking, who's there, what's your name, and then it was like, he's coming, and I said, okay, who's coming, where is he? And it's like, it's behind you, he's behind you. And I was like, well, who's behind me, what's your name? And then it said company, and then Scott, and that's when Scott walked around the corner.
Creep sauce.
Yeah, so that was, I was starting to get that little, like, almost hair standing on the back of my neck a little bit, but, like, I wasn't scared or anything. It was just like, is this thing really talking to me?
Yeah.
And I turned and looked behind me. There's nothing there. It's a bench and there's a wall behind me, but, yeah, I don't know. It was weird.
I was definitely getting a few of those hair standing up moments while Scott was doing the dowsing rods. Because I couldn't get shit on dowsing rods. They wouldn't move. And I think it was maybe because I was just too close or too still or whatever. And Scott was doing them sitting down, and then he did them standing up. And there were some, if you can call them answers, some pretty definitive answers. Mm-hmm. Like, is this Alice? And you'd see him move. And then he'd bring them back to center, or let them come back to center on their own, and then ask it another question, and they would articulate.
Yeah.
It wasn't every time, but it was a good amount of the time. And it was so kind of decisive at moments that you're like, what if this is really happening? Like, what if this is really a spirit moving these dowsing rods?
Yeah.
And
well, even just like Scott talking about what he was feeling when it was happening was pretty interesting. Him talking about it felt kind of like an electric jolt go through his hands.
Well, yeah, even when I was holding him on the bridge and it's dark out there, and I think it's just my imagination, but I'm holding him, and you can almost picture like this weird, almost like plume of energy holding them together. But I think it was just because I was sitting there and I was bored and my imagination's running. But what if it was real, Who knows?
Yeah. And it to me also is like, could that be tapping into like telekinetic energy where you're kind of manifesting your own outcome of the rods, even if you're not moving it one way or the other, like you're trying to hold them still, but you're asking them to move one way and focusing on yes or no, and then all of a sudden your energy that you're putting in there is making them go towards positive or negative. Like,
yeah, and you can prove that. And I can't remember what grade I was in, but the teacher was like kind of talking about a similar thing, and so she tested it. So she took this washer, like a metal washer, and we all had one, tied a string to it so you'd hold it up like this to where it's just stationary. And she's like, close your eyes and think about it just holding still. And it would hold still. And she's like, no, close your eyes and think about it moving side to side, swing. And you'd sit there for a minute, and then after, 90 seconds or 2 minutes, you'd start seeing it move. Because the little, like, micro movements in your fingertips holding that string are forcing it to do that, even if you're trying not to.
Right.
So yeah, it can easily be discredited, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What I found the most interesting about that time we were on the bridge was doing the Estes method, and you're listening to the spirit box, and it sounds like screams are coming through it.
Yeah.
And that was weird, because some of them were kind of like just a guttural, like, Rah!
Yeah.
And then some of them kind of momentarily sounded like a human scream.
Uh-huh.
And I wonder if it's just like the gaps between channels just filling in with a high-pitched sound, or what it could be, but it was fucking creepy.
Yeah, I had a few of those, and I know that there was one, it sounded like there was one station that was like opera music or something.
Yeah.
Because you get like however many stations there are on an AM frequency, like it would go through all the channels, but there'd be that one blip that's like, ah!
Yeah.
Like cathedral, like church singing.
Yeah.
Operatic music, but then there was, you know, so you'd kind of be expecting that to come through every 1 or 2 minutes as it sweeps through the stations. But yeah, there was a few that just sounded like a growl, or like you said, a guttural like roar.
Yeah, like imagining what a demon growling would sound like is what it sounded like.
Right.
Just like,
yeah.
You're like, oh, that's fucking creepy.
That was creepy. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting.
It's unsettling for sure, because you're just sitting there, you know, with your eyes closed and having that blinking red light too, because it would kind of chime or sync up to the box itself, and you're just like, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because you can still see the light, you know, flashing through your eyelids. But yeah, that was definitely an interesting experience, and I think that should be in a toolbox going forward.
Yeah.
And I judged it too harshly.
So another way that I've seen people do it is kind of the same thing where how we did our solo thing, but on top of that solo thing, so you go in there to the room by yourself, you have a walkie-talkie, you put the headphones in, put the earmuffs on, and then you put the walkie-talkie down, turn the spirit box on, and then somebody outside is just asking questions over the walkie-talkie.
Yeah. Hey, Care Bear.
Hi.
Love you. Have a good day at work.
Yay. I love it.
But yeah, so you kind of will get that creepy factor of going in there, putting the headset on. You know you're all alone, and you're just listening to the box in the dark by yourself, just for a little extra creepy factor.
Yeah, I think, and I had to really put it into my own perspective of like, why do I actually do this? You know, because I go, I'm not convinced that ghosts are real or spirits or whatever, and I think part of that is the exploration of that idea. Like, I want to prove one way or the other in my own mind.
Right.
Even if I don't have any evidence, I can say my experience is my evidence, and that's why I feel the way I feel. And the other part was like, but why do I really do this? You know, and I go, I like being scared.
Yeah.
It's fun. You know, it's the same reason we watch horror movies or do some of the other things we do, you know, skydiving or bungee jumping or ziplining or whatever. Like, you do it for that sense of fear because it's adrenaline. It feels amazing.
Well, I think that's a natural sensation that we as modern day humans don't get on a day-to-day basis like our ancestors used to get, like, every day.
Yeah, when you had to fight a fucking saber-toothed tiger to save your own life.
Going out hunting and getting mauled by a fucking short-faced bear or something.
Nowadays, the worst thing we got to worry about is like, is somebody going to hit my car? You know?
What the fuck? You scratched my bumper, you cocksucker.
You piece of shit. Fucking kill yourself.
And then you get the adrenaline rush for trying to fucking fight somebody for scratching your bumper on your 2007 Nissan Altima.
I don't know, man. There's been a couple times somebody almost hit my truck, and I'm just like, amping myself up, you know, when they're like backing out of their space and you can see them in your mirror and you're like, you fucking hit my truck, it's on. Wait.
Fucking pee-pee toucher, better fucking watch where you're going.
You're like looking in your mirror trying to check out who the driver is, like, oh yeah, he's an old guy, I could take him.
Yeah, I'll fuck that old guy up.
You just get up, you fucking hit my bumper, Grandma, and just start drilling her.
You better have good insurance. You're going to the fucking hospital.
I'm gonna let you take your dentures
just a
out.
fender bender.
I'm gonna let you take your dentures out so I don't knock them down your throat. Yeah, it was that was a really fun experience, and I think part of what made it more fun was the fact that it was more lighthearted, where we weren't actually out there trying to find anything. It was trying to just have that experience, not just, you know, a paranormal experience, but the experience of hanging out together and doing this fun off the wall thing that you don't get to do very often.
Well, yeah, I mean, a lot of people watch it on TV, but I don't really, like, I know maybe one or two people that have actually gone ghost hunting, but almost everybody that I talk to has watched a ghost hunting video or show and think that it's interesting enough to keep watching it, but I mean, you can go do it anywhere that's haunted in your surrounding, like, city or whatever town.
You could do them in houses.
Yeah, but, you know, a lot of people don't do it. And I don't know, we've talked about it forever, and I was just happy to actually go and do it again.
Yeah, and I was glad to have better equipment this time.
Yeah.
With good footage, good audio, all the whole nine, to where it was like, when I'm going through the footage to put a video together, I'm like, God, that footage is clean.
Yeah.
It looks good. And have you watched it? Have you watched it on the TV?
No.
Oh, definitely watch it on the TV.
So I started watching it upstairs in my room, but we have like the smallest TV in the world in our room. I can't even read the fucking, I'm like, what is that?
Fucking subtitles are too small.
Yeah. Trying to like type in Dave-Inci's code into the search bar on YouTube, and I'm like, I have to get up and stand up right in front of the TV and fucking, maybe it's just because I have bad eyes, but I'm not getting fucking glasses, okay?
I'm not the guy who's known to go to the optometrist.
What do I look like, a guy that goes to the doctor? Fucking pee-pee toucher?
I'm just going to keep drinking AMFs and not water. It's going to be fine. Shout out to Yeg.
Shout out to Yeg. Drink some water, bud.
Hydrate.
Hydration.
It counts. No, the other day I had like, I don't know, 30 minutes to kill before I left the house, and so I just put it on for shits and giggles, because I was really happy with the drone footage too.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you could see the footage is kind of jerky a little bit here and there. That's literally the second time I've ever flown it, so it came out pretty good. I was happy with it.
It was really cool.
But I turned it on. I think I was getting ready for work, so I was only like catching a glimpse here and there, and then I stopped, and I'm like actually watching it and how crisp the video is on like a full-size TV. You're like, God damn, that looks good.
Yeah.
And it makes it more interesting to watch. And admittedly, I didn't do what I did last time, where I watched every frame of footage twice. Like, at first you watch it for the foreground, you know, whoever's talking or whatever, and then I would watch it a second time for the background and just stare and like, do I see anything? I didn't do that this time, just because there's so much shit to go through and all that. And then I really thought about it in terms of, if there is something in the background, it would be way cooler if a viewer spotted it.
Yeah.
And then let me know.
So maybe that could be a part of our ghost hunting premise for a show, is like, we're not going to spot it, so it's up to you guys to spot the ghosts.
It's up to the viewer.
Yeah, I don't know. Just like on like Nuke's Top 5.
Did you see it?
Yeah, he has a lot of videos where he's like, they captured this without even knowing it was a tactical fucking viewer that watched it and saw what was going on behind them. So yeah, I don't know. I'll have to watch it again on the TV because I watched, like I said, I started watching it. Probably watched like 20 minutes of it. Was like getting ready to go to sleep, and then I was just like dozing off, so I just turned it off and went to sleep, and then watched the rest of it on my phone on the treadmill at the gym. But even on my phone, fucking shit looks clean.
It does.
Filming
in 4K, dude.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Yeah, see every little sweat trickle off my brow.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and I actually had a lot of fun editing it, which is why I did it all in like one shot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I literally like started it in the morning and I finished it at like 2 a.m. and to encode it and render it and export it and everything, and then you're like, oh fuck, I got a finished product here.
Yeah.
And then you go to post it on YouTube and it takes 19 fucking hours to post. I don't know why it takes so long.
4K, man. It's rendering all kinds of images. Maybe it was haunted.
YouTube is definitely haunted.
Yeah.
It's haunted by people who like to censor.
Haunted by the censors. Maybe that could be a thing.
That is a thing. Happens all the time.
What else happened while we were there?
Let's see.
So, is there any, like, investigation or investigative tactics that you would like to try differently?
I mean, aside from the more solo outings, I would like to work with a laser grid a little bit more, which I had them in the case and everything. I just never thought about it.
Yeah.
I think that would actually be pretty cool, especially when you're in the room in the dark and you set up that laser grid to cover all the space, and if you saw the ripples in the grid, you'd be like, oh, what the fuck is that? More audio recording would be cool, especially since I just used the cheating method to see if there's anything there. Like, oh, nope, flatline, not using it. I would like to figure out how to record the spirit box better.
So I wonder if you could just... Does it have like a mic input?
No, it's got a headphone jack and that's it. I was playing with it the other day. I know there's a way to record it while it's scanning, because that would make it way easier to actually determine like what it says versus what we're saying on camera. And the way I can put it together is like when you turn it on while the camera's running, you can look at your phone and say, oh, it's 8:30 p.m. or whatever, and it would sync those together, and then I can just pick which one is the dominant audio.
Yeah.
But as for other methods, I like more motion control things. And I got caught in this trap twice where it's like, I have this whole bag of the motion activated cat balls, but I only put out like 3. And it's not like they're expensive, so if I lose them, it's not a big deal. But put a few more of them out, especially if you're going to be in a room by yourself doing whatever session. Litter the floor with them. Just put them everywhere.
And maybe like we could, just to make sure that you're not losing equipment and shit like that, just when we go into it, just kind of just bring a notebook and kind of make a map.
Yeah.
And just write down what you have located in different places.
That's a good idea.
And then when we go to collect all the shit, you can kind of just check everything off as we go through. Like, just, to keep all your shit together.
Yeah, I mean, there's pieces of kit that I don't want to lose, but then there's like the cat balls where they're literally like 30 cents a piece. Yeah. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Fuck, I think that whole bag that I bought was like $20. And there's like 40 of them in there.
I was looking on Temu at like ghost hunting equipment. And it's like, kind of all the stuff that you have, like the motion sensor balls, the dowsing rods, and then like digital recorders, just voice recorders. Which, I mean, I think that would be interesting to kind of do EVP sessions, just to like live replay, do a session and then listen back to it right then, just to see if we hear anything in the moment. I think that's something that we could probably try, because I don't know if we've done that.
No.
And that seems like all the rage in all the other videos that I've seen, but yeah, it was fun.
It was a blast. I had a really good time. And the 2 times we've done this, my learning curve is just getting so much sharper on what I need to change gear-wise or editing-wise, or what kind of shots I need to get to make the video more interesting and more watchable. Like adding the drone footage to it, as opposed to just trying to use B-roll hand shot stuff that is usually shaky or whatever. Right. So just making more of an entertainment value out of it for other people.
Dynamic, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that makes a big world of difference versus a lot of people you see that do that same stuff, and it's like their videos are kind of boring.
Yeah.
And I don't want that. But I also had like a goal in mind when I made that video, that it was going to be like hour and a half tops, because after that people start losing interest and they're like, oh my god, there's like another hour of this.
They haven't found jack shit.
They haven't found jack shit. But there was just so much good footage that it was hard to be like
nitpicking.
Yeah, where I was like, no, this has to go in, no, this has to go in.
What you could do is like, so make a video, edit the video, make it about an hour, put in like all the moments that stand out, put those all together, and then do a sister video with it, just as all the footage, like multiple cameras, all the footage. It'd be like fucking like 9 hours of footage.
Yeah.
So if people do want to like pour through footage, and I'm sure people are interested in like, because I was like, man, I want to maybe go to your house and just kind of help you go through the footage, and because I would love to just sit there and listen to the audio and see if you hear anything, just for like the sake of, we're going there to try to catch something, and you don't want to miss it just because you didn't listen to it.
Yeah, and that's right.
If you have software that'll kind of read through it for you,
well, I felt kind of guilty about doing it that way instead of listening to it, but I'm not a very patient person.
Well, it seems like a way more efficient way to do it.
Oh, it was so cool, because you could see, I really wish I'd brought my hard drive, but you can see where it's like at the beginning, all the audio spikes from us being in the room, and then we leave, and it's just like one long line, and then all of the audio spikes from when we got back in there, and then just that one little in the middle. But even when vehicles would pass by, because it's right next to the street, like it wouldn't even set off the dynamic audio at all. You wouldn't see any blip in it. You'd see like a little wave, and that's it.
Yeah, because you can definitely, when you're in there, you can definitely hear all the cars going by.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
But it's
not a quiet place.
No, it's not. I also did discover, though, on the microphone that I have, because it's like a boom mic, kind of like what's on here. It's more analog and these are digital, but there's a switch on there, just like on these and every other mic, where it's it has like a 50 decibel rating and then 150, or no, it's 75 and then 150. And I didn't realize this, but if you switch it to 150, it'll really pick up a lot more sound. But if you leave it at the 75 mark, it's for voices and things like that. So it's meant to be like a short range, like camera mic.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, next time I got to make sure to put that all the way up so it'll record like the max.
Yeah, so it's picking up all the little sounds.
So it'll pick up all the ghost farts.
Ghost farts, mouse farts, owls puking up fucking owl pellets. All the stuff.
You'll hear all the shit we say under our breath. Fucking vegan.
I don't even know if I said that under my breath. It was mostly just out loud.
Yeah, we don't shy away from giving Scott shit.
Yeah, vegans are cool. At least one of them is.
That's the only one I know. I mean, so far 100 out of 100, I guess.
We went out to eat last night, and there was a couple like sitting a few tables away, but I could hear what they were talking about, and the waitress came over, and the guy was like trying to figure out what they could eat because they were vegan, and he's probably said that they were vegan 6 or 7 times in the 2 minutes he was talking to the waitress. Yeah, what is this and what does it have in it? Because we can't have any meat or dairy products because we're vegan. And what's in your salad? Is the salad dressing made with such and such because we're vegan? Like, are you vegan?
Like, hey man, why don't you go over to fucking Smith's, get a head of broccoli, go home and shut the fuck up.
Yeah. Why don't you just, I don't know, eat a fucking salad with nothing on it?
Oh, actually.
Or go to a vegan restaurant. I don't know. Weird thought.
I did have a thought going back to your question about other methods or tools, I'll say. And I had this thought a long time ago, but I was like, it's not really going to work. But I actually want to set up a tool array and have a camera focused on it. So you'll have like your EMF detector, your thermal camera, maybe some kind of temperature gauge, even if it's just like a basic thermometer or something, an anemometer, so you could see wind changes and things like that, but a camera that's just focused on that. And so if that person holding that array gets a spike or whatever, it'll pick up all of that readout, but then whoever's holding a regular camera can focus on that person, so you can see they're not manipulating it. You know, like, look, the anemometer's going fucking...
It went crazy. There was
crazy.
A little bit of a temperature change. It smells super weird in here now.
Yeah, I can't explain that.
No, yeah, that'd be cool. So like a handheld type of... Almost like a guitar pedal setup, but just kind of like a panel.
Very similar.
Yeah,
just something with a handle on it that is going to hold all these individual tools, that has, you know, a front-facing camera and pointed at an angle to where you can still see everything, but the camera can see it as well. And it's something I'll have to try to model and just 3D print, or I don't know, make it by hand or something.
Yeah.
But I thought that'd be
mount
cool
for a GoPro to put over the top so you can see all the readouts on the GoPro.
Yeah. Or whatever kind of camera. I mean, I just thought it'd be cool because, you know, if there's 3 or 4 of us going, and then there's, you know, 2 video cameras, and you can't really get a whole lot of stills at, you know, when it's dark and shit like that. So it's like, if 2 people out of the 4 are using cameras, and then one person is using, you know, the tool cluster or whatever the fuck you want to call it, and then another person is doing another thing, everybody's got something to keep them busy.
Right.
And it's useful. And I do want to, like, kind of change things around as we go on, so it's not just one person doing one thing all the time, because if one person's energy or reflection of spiritual energy is going to be different, like, let's switch them around and see what kind of results we get.
Yeah, exactly.
And it would help vary the footage too.
Yeah. Because Kara was saying that she was experienced, like I said, we talked about it last night, and she said that she had experienced a lot of feelings of, like, energy feeling different energies in different locations, like, especially when we first got there, she said that she felt like that there was something there, and they started doing the dowsing rods and were getting, like, some, you know, answers and stuff to their questions, and she was saying that she really felt it, and then when we went back there the second time, she said it was gone. Like, she didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
It was just kind of empty. So, yeah, I mean, but the whole time that I was there, I didn't feel anything.
Yeah.
And I personally, I feel like I pick up on people's energies pretty well. Spiritual energy, I feel like I can feel pretty, you know, I'm not claiming to be a psychic medium by any sorts or anything, but like...
Maybe you should. You could get a TV show.
True. Spencer, psychic medium. Up after that, fucking swamp cops.
You fucking beat me by 1 second.
Are you ready?
Swamp Cops at 9 o'clock Central Time on A&E.
I go sci-fi.
Sci-fi, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, all those networks have paranormal shows now. I mean, not like the big networks, but A&E, I think, has a couple, and the Travel Channel, and the History Channel. And Sci-Fi has a bunch of shit. Like, we're getting picked up no matter what.
Yeah.
We're basically just going to dominate your Friday night.
Dude.
It's going to be like TGIF.
You're going to have t-shirts that say, how the hell are ya? What's up, fuckers?
What's up, fuckers? Not sponsored by Blue Chew.
Not sponsored by Blue Chew. What the fuck?
It's a cat.
I just don't know how we got in there.
It's my hitchhiker. But I saw him come in earlier. So maybe all the shit that we were experiencing while Timmy was here, or after Timmy, was actually me.
Maybe Timmy brought it with him, and then it was just like...
Just hanging out with me.
Oh, look, there's another guy right here that has a beard. Jumped on your back.
Makes sense. I mean, hey, I'm not complaining. For the last couple weeks, man, I've been in a great mood. Things are awesome, especially this last week. So maybe whatever ghost it is just feeding me good vibes.
Yeah, I like that. You're the opposite of possessed. Whatever that would be. Enlightened? Or
maybe I'm possessed by like a happy ghost.
Yeah.
He's just like, dude, everything's cool. Don't worry about it.
Chill, brother.
It's just a ghost sitting there popping edibles. It's just like, we're cool, man. Don't stress.
Haunted by like a hippie ghost. Just tripping on acid and shit.
Dude, that's dope.
I think that, yeah, I mean, maybe that's what the afterlife is, just like an acid trip that doesn't end.
Like a big crazy DMT experience. Which I would love to do something psychedelic while doing an investigation.
I would just forget about the investigation and kind of just be like petting the tree or something like that.
You're like, dude, there's ghosts fucking everywhere. I can see them across the street right now, bro.
The whole, like, all the shots would be like, I have to go throw up. You want to go throw up? Should we go throw up? No, I'm just tripping.
I don't know though, because I have this theory about when you're tripping, because there are eyes open tripping and then there's eyes closed tripping, and I think different people do different things.
Yeah.
I know I'm an eyes closed one because my imagination just goes everywhere.
Yeah. I think it's hard to close my eyes. Like, the times that I've done it, it's hard to close my eyes, keep them closed, because my eyes just want to like open up and look at everything. But yeah, keeping your eyes closed, I feel like it, for me it was like a introspective look in a geometric pattern of all the cells in my body, like how they're interacting with each other. Was super trippy. Like, I don't know.
Dude, tripping is great.
It is great, and it should be seen as more of a normal thing, I think, than it is now.
I agree. I think it's so like demonized.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know, because I could think of like a dozen people I could talk to right now that'd be like, you do that? That's so bad. But I can also think of another dozen people who are like, dude, it's a life-altering experience.
Yeah, now is it bad because you've been told it's bad? Or is it bad because you've tried it and it fucking was terrifying and you think it's bad? Like, there's two different, scenarios there that I'm going to take into consideration when you're saying that it's bad. If you're saying that it's bad and you've never tried it, then you have no grounds to say that it's bad, because
yeah,
most of the people that you do talk to have had bad trips. and has got, you know, but have gotten more out of it than
Oh yeah, because I think
than just tripping balls, you know.
Yeah, for me personally, I think half the trips I've taken were bad trips, and it's like you don't think about it as being a bad trip in the moment. It's a lot of like introspective thinking and ego death and all these other things, and at the time you're like, God, this fucking sucks. But
bad
then,
trip for a good outcome.
yeah, and then you come out of it and you go, you know, I kind of needed that. I kind of needed to kick myself in the ass about whatever experience you had. Usually there's something you can take away from it.
Yeah.
The problem I always have was people's perspective on it. And I'm not going to say it's all people, but I heard this one once personally, and Chewy was talking about it with somebody else at work, and that person was like, I'd never do that, and this shit fucking scrambles your brain. I'm like, dude, shut up. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're an NPC anyway.
They just approved it to treat in conjunction with therapy for people.
PTSD.
PTSD, yeah. Well, it's like taking a dose of psilocybin and then kind of going through aggressive therapy and then working through the trauma that you're getting hung up on. Just because that, I mean, it makes you think about it. It makes you think of the different angles of like different ways to look at it and different outcomes, and seeing the positive versus the negative things that you feel about it. And, you know, to me, it seems like it helps you understand situations that have happened to you and how they've shaped the way that you think about a lot of things in your life going forward. So I don't know. I think it's a good thing.
The most potent thing about it is that it forces you to deal with whatever you're dealing with.
Yeah.
You can't just stuff it down and pretend it's not bothering you. It's like, hey, you know this thing that you constantly try to avoid? Now we're going to deal with it right here, right now.
Yeah.
You're not getting away from it.
Right.
And it's even if like your mental acuity is strong enough to like try to avoid it for a little while, it comes back. Like you have to deal with it because you're in this trip. There's no washing it out. It's not like when you get too drunk you can eat and drink water and things like that and you'll sober up pretty quick. You're in it for the long haul.
Yeah.
You don't get out of it midway.
Yeah. So yeah, we've talked about, you know, doing the hit television show Paraphernalia. We're doing ghost investigations, like tripping on different substances, just to see what the different frequencies of different mind-altering substances can or will attract, or like how it can change the energy. Just like you go into a party and it's like everybody's drunk at the party. There's a totally like party atmosphere.
Yeah.
And if you go to a party where it's like everybody's stoners there and everybody's just super mellow, chill, and it's like a stoner party and it's a totally different vibe. Still a party, but it's a totally different vibe. Like it's a totally different feeling than like people who are drunk. Same with all the other, you can tell when, especially if you're on something and you see somebody else that's on something, you could feel
you
that,
know it.
you know, and then you see people that are like sober and then they just look super weird.
Yeah.
Because they're just
that's a weird conundrum, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you always have that one friend in every group who gets a little sauce and they're like, I love you, man. And that's Yeg, by the way. But it's like when you've been drinking too and you're just like, oh dude, I'm gonna vibrate on that same frequency, and you're like, I love you too, man, and you bond and it's great and all that, versus like that one friend who's doing that same thing gets drunk and wants to tell you how much they love you and appreciate you, but you're a little too sober for it and you're like, fuck.
You tell me this every time you get drunk. Can you please stop fucking drinking? No, we're not gonna make out again. God.
Again. Yeah, no, Yeg, I'm not fucking joining Grindr. Leave it alone.
I'm not that drunk this time.
But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to going again. And I'm trying to find a good place that we can do soon.
So, I did see the Ritz Theater here open back up.
Ooh.
So I know that you can. They do like. They're doing like showing movies there every once in a while, but I think that you can rent it out for like private events and stuff like that. So we'll have to contact them and see what the.
We rent it out. They're like, "What movie do you want to watch?" Nothing. Just shut the lights off. Get the fuck out.
We don't want to watch a movie. We just want to go in there and don't worry about what we're doing. We're not conjuring any spirits or.
Yeah. This also has nothing to do with Grindr.
Allegedly.
I'll just call you when we're done. Well, I have seen videos that have taken place there, and it's like there's some creepy shit. And from more, I'll say, reputable paranormal investigators that have seen and experienced things there versus like, you know, the Zach Bagans or the Twin Paranormal or whatever that overblow everything. But I've seen some really cool ones. Like they have the classic seats where you have to sit down to make the cushion go down, or the bottom to go down, and this one dude he's just in there by himself, and the seat next to him just drops down like somebody sits in it, and then he panics and runs.
Yeah. What would you do besides poop your pants?
I feel like I'm measured enough as a person, and I've kind of had enough experiences that I can coax myself into remain calm and not just run away. That's one of the biggest gripes I have about these paranormal investigators. And I saw this one video and it like gave me chills, but this dude's sitting on the ground and I don't even know where he's at, but he's like, "Would you like to come sit next to me?" And then you can almost see it happen, but something does come and sit next to him, and he flips out and he gets up and runs away. Like, dude, that's what you wanted. Yeah. This is why you're here. And so
I just asked for that.
Yeah. And so that's where my mind says, like, obviously in the moment it's going to be different, maybe, but my mind says this is why I'm here, because I wanted to prove these things or have these experiences. So if it sits next to me, the initial like fear is going to kick in and like get up and move, but I'm going to tell myself, no, sit here, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah, I might jump a little bit, but I've in my mind I'd be like, "Whoa, that's crazy, look at this, are you guys getting this?" But like in reality,
paralyzed.
Yeah, I'd try to run away, but like Scooby-Doo and fall down straight onto the floor.
I don't know, I mean, either way, it would be super awkward if a ghost just went and sat next to you.
Yeah. And yeah, in all honesty, I'd probably freak out a little bit, but that does like always kind of like irk me when I'm watching a paranormal investigation show and they ask for something to happen and then something happens and so they run away. And it's like, dude, stay there and figure out what it is.
Yeah, quit being a fucking pussy.
Yeah. Or like different shows that are like, it's like one person walking around with the camera, and it's like, when we were at the house in Roosevelt, I was kind of like just playing with the camera just to see what different effects I could create just by doing different things, like backlighting yourself with the IR, and then you could get you're shooting with the IR camera, but there's like an actual light source behind you. You can't see it in the camera.
Yeah.
But you can see shadows like moving, and that's just created through the actual light and darkness, that you can't really tell the light and dark spots in a room in the infrared mode on a camera, but you can see exactly what it is when you're just so like it was just kind of eye-opening to be like, oh, I bet like half of these things are fake and people know what they're doing, and just like they're walking through and they're holding the camera and then like with their other hand slam a door behind them and then turn around and say, oh, what the fuck was that? The door just slammed. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, you're not fooling me.
Yeah.
Or some of those ghost shows where it's like, oh, the camera was ripped out of my hand, but it's really like, no, you threw that motherfucker.
So yeah, I don't know.
Or there was one episode of Ghost Adventures where it was like, and out of nowhere, a brick is randomly thrown, and it comes from behind, from behind the cameraman. Like, dude, that was you. Get the fuck out of here.
Who threw that?
Come on, fight me, ghost.
Yeah. For people that are watching, we're never gonna fake something like that. And if we do fake it, we're gonna tell you for sure. Like,
yeah, it's
psych.
If we fake it, it's for like B-roll footage or a little bit of shenanigans,
or like a dramatic reenactment type situation.
Well, my original thought for doing those, investigations was we would do it for so long, and then towards the end it was like, all right, nothing's happening. Let's just do some fucking shenanigans.
Yeah.
And the more I thought about it after we did that first one, I was like, I don't think that platform is going to work. Instead, it's like, let's have the shenanigans here and there.
Yeah. I think that the shenanigans should be kind of sprinkled.
Yeah. A little here, a little there.
Yeah. Like salt on top of the video. Shenanigans sprinkling. Plus, I think that, like, I don't know, like, places that claim to have hauntings like to keep that reputation of being haunted. So, like, us going in there and be like, yeah, it's all bullshit, this place isn't haunted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't see anything, we didn't feel anything. I'm not saying it's not haunted, we're just saying we made a video, we were there for 6-7 hours, didn't feel anything, so is it haunted? Maybe.
Could be. We don't know.
I don't think so.
Well, I think that's one thing I want to add at the end of every video going forward is recapping to actually, like, speak on the experience.
Yeah.
Where even if we get through this whole video and film all this shit and we go, yeah, we didn't see shit, it's okay.
Yeah.
I mean, at least it was entertaining throughout.
Right.
But yeah, I'm 100,000% against faking it.
Yeah.
Or dramaticizing something. Like, the temperature just got colder. Yeah, you're sitting next to an open fucking window and it's November. Idiot.
You were wearing a coat in the scene before, now you are just wearing a t-shirt. It's probably cold in there.
Yeah. I can see your breath. It's cold.
Yeah, I definitely think that, and we could probably even do that, like, so we do the investigation and kind of just do a short, we did that, at the mill, the last thought of the place, so that we're talking about the things that we've experienced that night while it's still fresh. And I think that it was even eye-opening for me, like, listening to everybody's kind of take on it. Like, we all kind of had similar things to say about it, but like Kara felt really strongly that there was something there. Scott was like, oh, it was kind of weird, I've never felt like this. And I was like, well, I didn't really feel anything, but we experienced some of these things, like weird things that happened.
Yeah.
We can't explain, but yeah, I don't know.
Well, and I also like that everybody has kind of a different orientation of what they're about with it, where
Right.
it's like, I kind of put the focus on shooting good footage to make a good video out of, and yours is more kind of like just experiencing the moment, and Kara's more of, I'll say kind of more into the clairvoyant section of it, and then Scott is kind of like the jokester, but still wants to have an experience kind of thing. So
Yeah,
everybody's got their own
energy is
grind.
really kind of in between highs and low frequencies of the rest of everybody that's with us. Like, I think it's a good mixture of people and personalities and like their energies that they're bringing with them. So yeah.
Well, that was the thing we had talked about leading up to it between Scott and I, and he's like, I think I'm just like a deterrent for anything paranormal, and I never experienced all these things or whatever. And talking about the last time we went, and I was like, honestly, you got to consider the company you were with.
Yeah.
Because we kind of paired up, and you're with a person who was vibrating at a low frequency at the time and was in fact getting mad that ghosts weren't talking to him. It's kind of like, and he may have changed, I don't know, it's not really my problem, but the simple fact is who you're with plays a big factor.
Yeah.
And if you're with a bunch of low vibrational people, you're probably not going to experience anything.
Yeah.
But when you're with people who are open-minded but still logical and have a more middle ground basis of who they are, to where they're open-minded enough to say, I can have an experience and be logical about what that experience is, versus being someone who's just like, ghosts are fucking real, but they don't want to fucking talk to me.
Because they're assholes.
Pieces of fucking shit. Don't you know I'm like the best fucking person to talk to? Yeah, we're going to get another one going here pretty soon. It's just hard during October.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the spooky season and everybody's all up in that right now. So it's like November 1st, nobody gives a shit about it.
Yeah, we could probably, I mean, Pilgrims or Ghosts too, we can do like a Thanksgiving special ghost hunt.
I dig it. It's just a bunch of fucking ghosts of turkeys.
Yeah, haunted holidays.
Yeah, I like it. We'll do a Krampus episode
A
for
Krampus
Christmas.
episode. Yeah.
I dig it.
Yeah. Sleepy Hollow. Oh, I guess that's Halloween. Never mind.
We could do a haunted 4th of July. But it's just like everybody's fingers that have been blown off over decades.
We have to go to Gettysburg.
Ooh, I've heard that place is fucking crazy. I've seen a couple crazy videos too.
Have you ever watched what are they called? They have a show on one of the network, like one of those ghost hunting shows, but it's like something, the Wraiths.
Oh yeah,
the Haunted City Wraiths or something like that. And there's a group of like southern guys, but they go to Gettysburg and they go to this like right in the main street, the old main street where the buildings were there during the Civil War. And one of them has like all this antique stuff, like guns and uniforms that were actually, in the war, and like there's like a dress that's like covered in blood from some lady that was helping injured soldiers, and cots downstairs in the basement that they were treating some of the wounded soldiers on these cots, and they're down in the basement, and they got a lot of crazy shit there. But yeah, I would like to go there, and if not just for the history side of seeing all the, shit that's taken place, do some paranormal shit. Be fun.
I actually remember, so when I was in high school, my girlfriend at the time, ex-wife, whatever you want to call her, her and her family lived in this, it was actually kind of a big house way out in the boonies, and it used to be a Civil War hospital, and it had been retrofitted to be a house, put in some support walls, things like that, but it was definitely an old, creaky, weird fucking place. And I can't remember who told me the story, but somebody said that on multiple occasions they saw like a woman in a dress walking around the house, late at night, but she was like a ghost, and I thought, oh, that's fucking cool.
Yeah,
that would have been cool to see.
Old Victorian dress lady, or like a Civil War soldier just walking through the room. That'd be creepy, dude.
It would be, especially if you're in the room and she just walks in there like, hey, what's up?
Like, I've seen ghosts before. I've seen shadows. I've seen like I said, I've said on our demonic possession episode where I was talking about seeing the little girl. One of the episodes that we did of the podcast, seeing a little girl walk through my mom's kitchen, and I wasn't the only one that saw it. And but looking at it like when I saw it, it didn't look like a ghost, like a typical ghost. It looked like a little girl walking through. And we got up to go check, like, who the fuck just walked in? Because honestly, like, there was times when just random ass people would walk into my mom's house. Because there was always a lot of people at my mom's house.
Yeah.
And then, like, especially on the weekends, like, family members would stop by, so there'd be like 10 cars out in the front yard and just people stopping by and just saying hi or whatever, hanging out. And it was like our family, and my brother was married with his wife, lived there, and then one of my aunts lived there with her kids, and so there was a lot of people there and cars outside, so it kind of looked like we were having a party. So then there was a couple times when people would walk into the house and then we'd be like, turn around and look at them and like, can we help you? And like, oh, I thought is this so-and-so? We're looking for this party. Like, oh, no. So just random people walking into the house thinking that it's going to a party. Like, but that was just, so like seeing that, the little girl was like, who's here? And we walked over there, there's nobody there. Like, okay, that was weird. Was that a ghost? Must have been, because there was no little girls there.
Yeah. That'd be creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
I've never seen like a full-bodied apparition or a shadow person or anything like that. It's everything I've dealt with feels more like poltergeist activity than anything. Except one time I remember I had my earbuds in and I was in my room and there's nobody home and I can hear the dogs barking over my earbuds, which has got to be pretty loud because if I have one earbud in, I can't hear shit. And I peeked my head out the door and you could see down the hallway and there's like a landing at the top of the stairs where you can either go down the hall or go into the kitchen or go into the living room. And the two dogs are sitting there, sitting looking up like they're looking at a person. And I'm like, not today, I'm not in the fucking mood. And then the dogs just like went about their business. But they're both sitting like they're looking up at somebody.
Yeah, I definitely think that animals do have, that's what they are, is like sense receptors.
Yeah,
or
biosensors.
Biosensors for sure. So they have their senses up and can hear 10 times as well as we can, smell 10 times as better than we can. Like, the way that their vision works is different from ours, and so they can, I'm sure, see different things than we do or pick up on different.
Their visual spectrum is way better than ours.
Yeah.
Even though when you see pictures of like what cats and dogs, what we presume their vision is like, you're like, how could you see anything? But it's because they rely on other senses just as much as their eyesight, and it creates a better picture in their mind versus what they visually capture.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so one final question. Where would be like your dream place to go do an investigation?
Dream investigation. Anywhere in the world?
Anywhere.
Probably Vlad's castle in Transylvania.
That's an interesting
Dracula's castle.
Yeah, Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah. Just because there was so much known, documented, like, torture and murder and bad energy. But I think that if anywhere was to be haunted in that sense, that would be one of those places that would probably have a lot of activity. And I've seen videos where they were talking about like how they had started renovating that castle, and they can't get workers to stay there for more than like a few days because they just quit. They just refuse to work there. Yeah, because so much stuff is happening. But I think that would be a really crazy place, just with the history. Like, if you don't know, Vlad the Impaler was He was like the king or the emperor, whatever you would call him, of Wallachia, was like in Transylvania. And he was fighting off Turkish and the Ottoman armies as they were trying to like take over his area. And he had this castle stronghold. He's the basis of Bram Stoker's Dracula. But he had the stronghold, and the people that would advance on his territory, he would kill and then impale on wooden spikes, these 10-foot wooden spikes, and then he just had a forest of, it was like 10,000 or 20,000 people that he'd impaled.
Yeah.
And he would just sit in the courtyard and eat his dinner, like amongst the forest of dead bodies hanging there, tortured, screaming victims. Yeah.
That's a good
gruesome.
Choice.
Yeah.
I'd want to go investigate whatever place they keep all the aliens. So like I'm looking for ghosts, but hey, there's an alien. No. I would probably go with Alcatraz.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Secluded, like lots of just evil things have happened there. You know, it's a prison, so you can use your imagination, but I think the echoes of all that pain and hardship and all that are still there.
Yeah. Of course, all those, prisons and like insane asylums and, the houses where they kept the medically insane people are super, bucket list places to do investigations, but Alcatraz is one of those things, and there's a lot of people, or a lot of deaths surrounding that place, and just prisons in general would hold so much energy.
Well, I think that one especially because it's an island.
Yeah.
And it's totally secluded from civilization. So if it was like a drop you off during the day, we'll come in tomorrow to pick you up, you're stuck there, and you're going to basically be just like living there for 24 hours or whatever. And then the creep factor, and they're like, we're not even going to turn on the lights.
Well,
There's
you go
no
into
help.
like the stone tape theory.
Yeah.
Like all these places like that were built in a way of like limestone or quartz and steel and these materials that are supposedly materials that kind of record energy and store energy. So yeah, that's a good one.
It'd be dope.
Would be super duper dope.
I don't know who we got to talk to, but we can make it happen.
Yeah.
Be like, do you know us? Do you watch A&E? Swamp Cops?
Swamp Cops? I don't know.
Come on, dude.
Paraphernalia? You ever heard of these two shows? Hit classics?
Classics. All right, let's cut that one off there.
All right.
Okay, I love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.